Another fantastic point on this entire masking issue came from Senator Taves. Senator Ben Taves is on this committee. Let's listen to some of what he said.
That this legislation is so important because the saddest thing I saw was children being masked up, from my perspective, for no reason at all. And I do think it had a really major negative impact on the young people in our schools. And it was heartbreaking to me to see, and I'd love to never revisit that. Finally, I thought that Mayor Evans made a really good point on the possibility of new technology. And what I would say, the reason why I'll still support this bill is because I have the utmost faith that individuals will research and choose to use the technology if they find it to be effective. So I believe that individuals will make the right decision if and when that technology comes about. Thank you.
Exactly. If acid, literal burning acid rain is falling from the sky, I'm going to want to find the best protection possible. Okay. You don't have to mandate me from either staying inside to avoid acid rain falling or having me wear protection when I go outside. You know, nobody has to mandate the wearing of earmuffs when it's negative 15 degrees. Okay. It's highly recommended. And I do recommend it. I don't even have earmuffs. Maybe I should get some. That aside, fantastic comment there from Senator Taves. What's fascinating here, though, of course, is the argument you get, not from the Democrats who are all just pro-mask in general, but from this idea that we want all these things to be done locally. You know, this was the governor's argument with the mask mandates. He's like, I never imposed a mask mandate. It was left up to the locals. It was left up to the districts. And then all the way down. So here's Senator Guthrie, chairman of, kudos to him for finally letting this hearing happen. But here he is pushing back against this mandate. Let's listen to this.
I'm also going to be voting no, and I want to qualify why I'm voting no. And I would tell you up front that I did not get vaccinated. I hated masks as much as the next guy, and I was every bit as much of a rebel as many that are out there. I was very much against the mask wearing, but that isn't what this is about. This isn't about whether masks work or whether they don't. It's about usurping local control. And it's about even borderline disrespect of local control.
Okay,
and when I look at the bill...
Pause it. This is what I'm talking about. He knows it's not about the masks. It's about local control, right? It's about local control. I would submit to you, Senator Guthrie, that apparently you weren't in Moscow out in the street singing hymns and getting arrested, right? Maybe you'd be singing a different tune if, like you said, you hated wearing the mask. But either he hated wearing the mask and so he did anyway. I mean, okay, I don't get that, because you did anyway because you knew if you didn't, you'd be violating some sort of ordinance that was put on you by local authorities who were taking their cues from the health districts or from the CDC and Fauci himself, Fauci, who we'll get to in a little bit later, right? You see how it all just trickles down? And then when you show up to your school board meeting or your city council meeting and you start to push back on this and they say, well, but the health districts are strongly recommending it. There's zero recourse. There's zero recourse. That's why we are in the position we are in now, is to say, no, you cannot violate rights based on junk science, number one. But at the very least, even before all that, you cannot do this. You just cannot restrict how I breathe and how I walk around simply because of what this person said at local level, at the district level, at the CDC level. This is why this bill came up. And it may seem like, oh, let's not relitigate COVID. Let's not. I'm sorry. This is the whole point. Okay. He goes on for a little bit longer. We don't have to belabor it because Brandon Shippey, this is why I'm not running for legislator, because guys like Brandon Shippey are much more calm. They're much more reasonable, right? And they have a fantastic argument. So is that who we have next? Let's listen to Senator Shippey push back a little bit here on Senator Guthrie.
I concur with the idea that local control is what we should always strive for. The local community knows their situation best. However, when it comes to individual liberties, I wouldn't support a local, county, or even city government banning firearms. That would be removing individual personal liberties that is protected by a higher authority, namely the federal or U.S. Constitution. And so I do think there is some value, there's a lot of value in having checks and balances on issues, especially when it comes to individual liberties. And that's I guess, how I see this issue. It's not just seeking to remove local control, but it's to provide checks and balances for the purpose of personal liberty.
Exactly. It's protecting the rights of the people. It's protecting the rights of the people. And when local authorities overstep their bounds, then the legislature or whoever has to come in. And if you want to file a civil lawsuit and tie yourself up in court for 5-6 years with a county prosecutor who says, maybe I will, maybe I won't, or you do a private cause of action. I mean, no. You go change the law. You change the ordinance. Remember there was a game out there that you would have to guess, if a stupid law was true or not. You couldn't. It's against the law in Springfield, Mississippi, to walk backwards chewing gum on the sidewalk, right? Like how did that become a law? Well, because people make laws. That's what we do. And so this one is about restricting the government from violating your rights. So well done, Senator Shippey. Of course, though, you still have folks. I don't know how you can be a Democrat still these days. I don't know how you can call yourself a Democrat, but we still have Democrats, and there's one Democrat on this committee, and that's Senator Ruckty. So let's listen to a little bit of his argument.
I just think we need to let local governments handle this. They're going to be on the front lines of dealing with the next pandemic or health emergency. And as Mayor Evans rightly pointed out, the technology may improve. But this has been a helpful discussion, though, for me. I mean, I've heard some things that I hadn't heard and appreciated before that make me understand the concern of trying to be resolved or solved by the bill. I hadn't thought through some of those things, so I appreciate that. I'm concerned by some of the things that are driving this discussion. I think we very quickly assume expertise where we have none. For example, if somebody were to come to me and start lecturing me on the finer points of patent law because they fought a traffic ticket in court, it would seem kind of silly. Or because I've deposited money in my check account, I was going to lecture somebody on the finer points of fiscal policy. I mean, it just because you know a little about something doesn't mean you appreciate the full gamut of what's trying to be accomplished and how a pandemic functions in society, what things our greatest scientists understand and don't understand. The mask mandate, I suspect it was based on their best options. And at some point, maybe even wasn't so much about perfect knowledge of science so much as it was how do we choose between two really bad things, one being a pandemic out of control without limitations, and the other being, we can slow that down, but we're going to create other problems by having mask mandates. These things are complicated, and
no, they're not. Thank you, Senator
Monday morning
Ruckty.
quarterback.
Okay, thank you, Senator Ruckty. Yes, very good. We like to have fun with the good Democrats out there. Wow. Okay. Anyway, let's listen to Senator Lenney bring it home here. This is how it passed.
I wanted to go through a list, if you'll indulge me for a minute or two here. I'll try to make it quick. Idaho Governor Brad Little strongly urged Idahoans to wear masks in public spaces, both indoor and outdoor. Pages and employees in this building, in the Capitol, were told to wear masks. When I got here in 2023 for my first session, there were signs everywhere, mask, mask, mask. Two years ago, school districts masked kids and did major damage to their development. Universities masked students. We've already talked about public health districts mandating masks. Central District Health issued a mask mandate in November 2020. Southwest District Health recommended a mask mandate in December 2020. South Central Public Health District issued a mask mandate in December 2020. Southeast Idaho Public Health imposed a mask mandate in November 2020. We've already heard about how the courts required masks, how the jurors were forced to wear masks. We didn't even touch on the military, what happened there. And it goes on and on and on. Specifically, and I'm almost done with my list here, Mr. Chairman, specific to Idaho, because there's this idea that, only a couple places in Idaho mandated masks, which I think I've already proven the point. But I went pretty far down the rabbit hole, and I found this. Benewah, Bonner, Boundary, Kootenai, and Shoshone counties required masks, and those who did not comply with the order could result in misdemeanor in the form of a fine, imprisonment, or both. Bellevue, Blaine County, the city of Boise, Driggs, Haley, Kellogg, the city of Ketchum, Lewiston, Moscow, Pocatello, Madison, and Valley County all had mask mandates. All of this to say that it did happen, and I don't think we want to go down this road again. So all this bill does is draws a line between advisory and compulsory. And I think it's important to emphasize, this thought kind of gets lost in my opinion, that this bill does not prevent anyone who wants to wear a mask from wearing a mask. If you like your mask, you can keep your mask. Anyone can wear a mask 365 days a year. This does not prevent anyone from doing it. But what it does do is limit government overreach and protect the human right to choose what's best for our own bodies and our own health. It's 2025. I think this legislation is long overdue and deserves to move forward. And that's all I got for you today, Mr. Chairman.
I'm telling you, folks, come on. If you like your mask, you can keep your mask. I mean, that was a brilliant, fantastic point. Ladies and gentlemen, that bill passed committee. It's headed to the Senate floor, where I think it has a good chance of landing on the governor's desk. Whether he signs it or not is up to you. It's up to us to pressure the governor to sign that bill and get this over the hump. Folks,